Well, it's our last day in Italy, and we drove for about an hour. We had to get our rental car back to the airport by 10:30. We had plenty of time. We were able to check into our hotel early, so we thought, why don't we go into Venice and have some lunch? So the bus stop was right across the road from the Courtyard hotel where we're staying, and it took about 20 minutes, half an hour to get to the island of Venice. The cost was €3 each for a round trip on the bus, so that was a no-brainer for us. So we decided to go in to Venice just for lunch and see what it was all about. We had been to Venice before. We were more towards St. Mark's Square and hung around that area. This time we came to what's called Piazza Roma, where the bus terminal is, and it's a different part that we had never seen before. So here you'll see some pictures of us, of our walk, while we were on our way to the Rialto Bridge. And this is the restaurant that we had lunch at. We were seated just outside, right by the Rialto Bridge. And we both had some pasta dishes, but this restaurant focuses mostly on seafood. And there's the Rialto Bridge, and it's a pretty interesting bridge in that it's 3 sections. There's the outside, 2 outside staircases, and then in the center there's another staircase that's has shops on either side. And just past the Rialto Bridge, there's a water taxi stop. There you see a sign that says "No Mafia Venezia." There's the Rialto Bridge. And so we walked to the water taxi stand, bought some tickets, and the cost for the water taxi was €9.50. And it was well worth it. We got to see the Grand Canal. And this is a different section of the Grand Canal. It's the far end of it. I believe that the palaces closer to St. Mark's Square on the Grand Canal are much more magnificent, or on the other side of the Rialto Bridge. But nevertheless, this was quite nice. And it took probably 15 minutes or so. Just be aware that these water taxis are jam-packed with people. You'll see them, that they look overloaded. The one thing that I did want to mention was that the Santa Lucia train station is quite close to the bus terminal, and you'll walk right past it. We weren't sure what the building was, but it's quite a modern looking building as you walk over the bridge once you leave the bus terminal. And here you'll see a quite nice stately palace, and it's the Venetian Casino. Now, I believe casino means a different thing in Italy. It's not like Vegas. You'll see some beautiful homes and palaces, and there's a Romanesque church. Now, if you were elsewhere in Italy and you wanted to go into Venice by train, you would take the train right to the Santa Lucia station. If you wanted to go to the airport, you would get off at Mestra, Venice Mestra, and then you'd have to taxi to the airport. You can expect to pay more for hotels and food on the island. If you wanted to save a bit more money, you could take a hotel off the island and just take the train in. The train is not expensive, and you could spend the day in and sightsee. Also, if you wanted to really get to know Venice, you should really get a tour guide to explain what some of the buildings are and take you on a bit of a tour through the windy streets. You can very easily get lost. There are also a lot of special events that take place in Venice. For example, the first week of June, there's a regatta, and it's sort of like what they call a palio, where 4 cities compete against each other. And the cities are Genoa, Amalfi, Pisa, and Venice. So that takes place right on the water. So it will be filled with boats that are going to be racing around in the canal, I imagine. That should be quite an event. But if you see the calendar, it is full of events almost every month. There's something else going on, which is kind of nice. And if you enjoy food, Venice is one of the best places to have a lovely meal. Here you'll see a cafe. A lot of cafes are outside, and it's just lined with flowers. Very pretty indeed. Here we're coming up to this stately Baroque style building. I believe it's a church. And we're just going to be going under the bridge, and the stop for the water taxi is just past this building, and the train station is just a little bit further along. So this is where we get off.